Welcome to In Focus, where we bring you deep insights into the most pressing global issues. In today's episode, we cover the cancellation of Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant's visit to the Pentagon, the latest Israeli airstrikes in Gaza, and a controversial statement made by Elon Musk about the US Vice President. Stay tuned as we unpack the details with your and our experts guests. Well, welcome back. In an unexpected turn of events, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant's planned visit to the Pentagon was abruptly cancelled on October 8, 2024, at a time when military cooperation between Israel and the United States remained crucial. With tensions increasing in the Middle East between Israel and its enemies and looming threats from Iran, what does this cancellation mean for the region? The Jerusalem Post has reported that the Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant cancelled his meeting with US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin amid rising tensions in Lebanon and Gaza. While the cancellation occurred at a critical moment, Pentagon officials downplayed any strain in US-Israeli defense ties. They emphasized the ongoing communication between Austin and Gallant, with 80 direct conversations since the recent escalation. However, the timing raises questions about Israel's strategic focus and how these delays might impact coordinated military responses, particularly regarding Iran. Well, and joining us today is Dr. Ashraf Singer, an expert in international politics, to discuss the potential consequences. Dr. Singer, good evening to you.
Good evening.
So, from your point of view, what is the significance, or rather the significance, of Yoav Gallant's cancellation to his visit to the Pentagon at this very critical moment in the Middle East?
Till now, we didn't get a concrete answer either from Israel's side or from United States, but based on some assumptions. Probably that cancellation because Biden last August was rejecting many calls from Netanyahu. So Netanyahu, I would say, tit for tat. So he canceled his Ministry of Defense to come to Washington to give us like a clear story that he is controlling his government. He is controlling the decision of war in Gaza and in Lebanon. This is not good news for the United States because, Austin, he was really frustrated from decision of Israel to assassinate Nasrallah without consulting the United States. So it was clear now that Israel by itself is moving ahead to destroy every corner in the Middle East, initiating a risk war with Iran. And the point now about Iran, we understand that both of Israel and Iran were and are very dissatisfied. And were and are, gonna to hit each other severely, and this is why Biden is really concerned about that level of retaliation over time, and this is gonna to drive Middle East in a very dark future, and United States is not planning, to let Israel attacking, like the nuclear facilities or energy facilities in Iran. But it seems to me like Netanyahu is insisting to retaliate back how that level of retaliation, can really open many questions in the United States minds. And because what I'm seeing, that cancellation of this visit, I'm sure, Austin was interested in meeting, Gallants and to discuss, the different, scenarios and
Right.
avenues. So
Indeed, it raises big question marks here from the US side, but also, how do you think the cancellation would affect coordination between the US and Israel, particularly regarding Iran and Palestine?
this is a good point. What really I heard today or I read today that Biden gonna to call Netanyahu today, to discuss further, uh, you know, uh, discussions or what is the next plan for what is going on now between Israel and Lebanon and Israel and Gaza. It's clear that United States does not provide a clear what we called clue to Israel to stop that. Still, United States pretty hesitated, in terms of stopping Netanyahu. So, Minister of Defense Gallant, he had a different view than Netanyahu about the ongoing, war in Gaza and Lebanon. But it seems to me like, Netanyahu by himself, he won, that discussions, or he won that feeling that he is the only guy, is controlling Israel with some of the conservative guys in his government, Ben Gvir and Smotrich. This is not really a good news for the United States. The United States was trying, to find like different team
But
to deal with the future of Israel.
yes, but are we speaking here about a larger shift in the US military strategy? Are these or do these issues, like this cancellation of this visit, reflect a kind of internal political dynamics inside Israel itself?
This is a great point too, because we were hoping, that level of division, among the Israel government can really bring good news to stop this conflict in Gaza and Lebanon. But after Netanyahu, launched, the war in Lebanon, after Netanyahu succeeded, to target, all the political and military figures in Hezbollah, he gained a lot of support from people of Israel, and this is one of the major problems now. It seems to me like the Israel society is backing Netanyahu, not backing Gallant or any plan to stop this war. The Israelis now, they feel insecure and moving ahead with more wars and striking,
Yes,
Lebanon and Gaza.
yes,
This is the
Dr. Ashraf
cycle of
Singh. Yes,
violence. Mhm.
Indeed, and it remains to be seen what will that come out with. Dr. Ashraf Singh, expert in international politics, thank you so much for your insights into this very critical situation, and we'll look forward to seeing how these developments unfold. Now, we turn to our second segment. An overnight Israeli airstrikes on October 9th, 2024, claimed the lives of at least 18 Palestinians, including women and children, intensifying the already dire humanitarian crisis in Gaza. As the conflict escalates, civilians remain trapped with little hope of evacuation. What are the legal and humanitarian implications of these continued strikes? Now, according to Ahram Online, Israeli airstrikes on displacement camps in Gaza have claimed the lives of at least 18 Palestinians, including women and children. The strikes targeting refugee camps like Nusayrat and Burej highlight the ongoing humanitarian disaster in Gaza as civilians bear the brunt of military operations. This incident underscores the complexities of urban warfare, where densely populated areas like Jabalia become flashpoints in the conflict with devastating consequences for displaced population. The question remains, how long can this cycle of violence persist before meaningful intervention occurs? Now, to help us understand the situation better, we're joined by Mr. Munir Nasiba, a professor of international law at Al-Quds University. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
Now, Dr. Nasiba, how do the latest airstrikes impact the already dire humanitarian situation in Gaza?
Very badly indeed. Israel has been, since the very beginning of this genocide in the Gaza Strip, insisting to first displace as many Palestinians as possible from their homes, and secondly, to make sure that those who are displaced do not find any safe location to stay at during their displacement, and as long as this offensive continues on the Gaza Strip. This ethnic cleansing campaign that the Israeli army and other state institutions are continuously conducting has claimed the lives of dozens of thousands of Palestinians, many of whom are still under the rubble and not even counted among the numbers of those who have been killed by the Israeli army. Over 100,000 have been injured by the Israeli strikes. And in addition to that, Palestinians are unable to have access to the humanitarian aid that they need in order to survive. So the message that Israel is trying to send to every single Palestinian in the Gaza Strip is that the Gaza Strip is not a place for them and for their children and for the new generations to live, that this is a place that they should leave. This was their very first message at the very early stage of this genocide, when they started displacing Palestinians and trying to force neighboring countries to receive them. Of course, the rejection of Egypt.
Mr. Nasiba, let me ask you, what could be the legal responsibilities of Israel as an occupation authority in this conflict, particularly in terms of civilian casualties in displacement camps?
Yes. According to international humanitarian law, when two parties are in an armed conflict or in situations of occupation, while certain types of military operations are indeed permitted, the international humanitarian law draws a very clear red line when it comes to civilians and other civilian targets. Targeting civilians is a war crime. Targeting homes and mosques and churches is a war crime. Targeting hospitals is a war crime. And if it is clear that this targeting is systematic or widespread, which is something that we can easily conclude when it comes to the Israeli offensive on the Gaza Strip and now Lebanon, then we can also find that this is a crime against humanity. But not only that, Israel has been systematically aiming at killing the largest number of people. This has led the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court to accuse Gallant and Netanyahu of extermination, among other crimes. And the continuous campaign to destroy the Palestinian people has convinced the International Court of Justice that it's plausible to believe that Israel is actually conducting genocide, which is the worst crime in the dictionary of international law. So basically, this is what Israel is conducting, and international law is very clear. It prohibits that. And as a result of this prohibition, there are two types of consequences. On the one hand, there is individual criminal responsibility, which is basically the prosecution of individuals and criminals who are responsible for these crimes, whether it was the prime minister, or any other person, regardless of their rank in the government or the military. But also there is state responsibility. And state responsibility, it means that Israel first should stop the genocide, should provide guarantees of non-repetition, and should repair all the damage. And
Yes.
regarding reparations, maybe one more thing. Regarding reparations, Israel has enacted a law many years ago that that makes it impossible for Palestinians to make claims for their losses in the occupied Palestinian territory,
Now,
even financial claims.
Moreover, Dr. Nasiba, with thousands of civilians unable to evacuate, what are the international legal implications for both Israel and the international community at large?
Indeed. I mean, first, what Israel has to do is to guarantee humanitarian aid to reach people, to guarantee that areas where people take refuge to, camps that have been designated in the Gaza Strip should not be touched by the Israeli army. Obviously, we know that they have been targeting these camps continuously, and they should make sure that there is sufficient safe space in the Gaza Strip that the Israeli army is not going to attack. On the other hand, for the rest of the world, we have two types of responsibilities. On the one hand, they should do their best and do every effort they can to supply the Palestinians who are now starving with sufficient supplies of food, water, and other necessary supplies.
Right, Dr. Nasiba, thank you so much for shedding light on the complex legal and humanitarian challenges in Gaza, and we thank you so much for your insightful and fruitful analysis. Now, Elon Musk has once again stirred controversy, this time over comments made about US Vice President Kamala Harris and President Joe Biden during an interview with Tucker Carlson. Musk's remarks about assassination attempts against political figures have drawn criticism from across the whole political spectrum.
We will build what I call an opportunity economy.
We will make America great.
We're ready to fight for it! As one people, we are moving forward.
We will make America safe again.
Right, and to our third segment and the final one, The Guardian reported that Elon Musk's recent remarks about Kamala Harris have reignited controversy, particularly after his joke about political assassination. Musk's suggestion that attempting to assassinate the vice president would be pointless since she is a puppet is troubling, especially given the public platform that he holds, despite his attempts to dismiss the comment as humor during an interview with Tucker Carlson. This kind of rhetoric dangerously normalizes violence in political discourse. It serves as a reminder of the fine lines between free speech and irresponsible commentary when dealing with such very sensitive topics. Now to discuss the legal and political implications of Musk's statements, we're joined by Ginger Shipman, a legal advisor and policy researcher. Good evening to you.
Yes. Thank you for having me today, Mona.
Thank you so much for being with us. And let me ask you, do you think the legal and political ramifications are for Musk's comments about assassination attempts on U.S. leaders?
Well, one thing we saw from the interview with Elon Musk and Tucker Carlson is that it was very broad-ranging. It covered a wide range of topics. Now, the segment where Tucker and Elon were making jokes about the assassination of Vice President Harris, Elon Musk did say that this is, it was intended as a joke. It was misinterpreted because it's in text. However, this is just one more sign of the deteriorating political condition in the United States. We have seen 2 assassination attempts on Trump. And actually, the point Elon was making was that no one has tried to assassinate Harris because she appears to be just the face or the facade of the system behind her. For example, as quickly as the Democrat machine was able to remove Joe Biden and replace him with Kamala Harris, it would be just as easy for them to replace Kamala Harris with the next in line to be the face of their policies. I do agree. This was a joke that was in very poor taste. He may have made it in private conversation, but then to broadcast it on his public platform is dangerous in the same sense that the jokes or tweets or social media about eliminating Trump are just as dangerous, because as we've seen, there are people out there in the public who see these public platforms, social media statements, and they do act on them. So given the political climate, this is a very dangerous line of conversation for Elon Musk to even be joking about. Now, once again, the conversation was very wide-ranging, and they did touch on other subjects that are also lending to the deterioration in the political climate in America. For example, skyrocketing crime, skyrocketing homelessness, the issues with the open border and millions of people coming in who are unvetted. These are all things that are very alarming to the American people, and out of that fear arises anger, and many people are now openly discussing what might happen after the next election. Many people believe, many prominent economists and military analysts are saying that regardless of who wins this upcoming election, half the country is going to be angry. There is likely to be violence in the streets.
Yes.
Some people are going so far as to suggest that this may be our last election in America
before we go to this dead end, let me here ask you, because this is very important what you've said already. You've spoke about that Elon pinpointed his finger on very important issues in these elections. But from your point of view and from the US legal point, do you believe Musk's comments could lead to real legal consequences, or are they more of a PR issue from the legal point of the United States and definitely from freedoms and the freedom of expression and all this? What do you think will happen?
That is an excellent question, Mona. Thank you. One of the things Musk did disclose is ever since he took over Twitter X, the Department of Justice and the European Union has been trying to silence him, trying to force him to censor his users. We saw the recent event with Brazil shutting down X until users could be removed. However, the point about lawfare, I do not know if this particular comment will be something the Department of Justice will pursue against Elon Musk. I do know, and he did say that since he took over Twitter, he has been the focus of lawfare. For example, he said his SpaceX program, the Department of Justice is now suing him for hiring non-citizens, which is a conflict in American law. However, he is being sued for it. He is also being sued by the Department of Justice for statements he's made about Tesla and the impact on shareholders. And it does seem that right now the American government is looking for things that he says or does in any of his companies to engage in the same type of lawfare against him as they have with former President Donald Trump. This is a common tactic. We see the American government,
Yes.
our government, going after their political enemies, going after political opponents, dissidents, anyone who speaks out against the current policies. So, and this is accelerating. This is causing alarm for many American people.
Yes.
But once again,
Yes.
not that statement, we do know that the Department of Justice is targeting Elon Musk on many levels to counteract his recent conversion to the Donald Trump policies, the American.
Right, Mrs. Ginger, we're looking forward for what will be happening. That was Mrs. Ginger Shipman, the advisor and policy researcher. We thank you so much for your valuable insights into the complex and timely issue. And I guess that wraps up today's episode of In Focus. Be sure to join us next time as we continue to cover the stories shaping our world. Many thanks for watching.